GST Quarterly Return Filing Option for Small Businessmen. Introduction. The Quarterly Return Filing Scheme permits eligible taxpayers to file their GSTR-1 and GSTR-3B returns on a quarterly basis, in preference to month-to-month. Quarterly Returns Monthly Payment (QRMP) scheme is one which permits registered taxpayers with an turnover of up to INR 5 crores in the previous financial year to record returns on a quarterly basis. Previously, taxpayers were required to report GSTR-1 and GSTR-3B month-to-month, but with the QRMP scheme, they are able to document returns once in quarter. For instance, from April to June, you can record returns as soon as and pay taxes for April by the due date in May. Under this scheme, you have to pay taxes on a monthly basis using the fixed sum approach, through a pre-crammed challan or self-assessment approach, due tax quantity after adjusting ITC. Once you opt for this scheme, you will stay on this scheme unless you pass the turnover threshold or opt out of it. GST Quarterly Return Filing Option Overview. The Quarterly Return Filing and Monthly Payment of Taxes (QRMP) scheme permits eligible taxpayers to report their GSTR-1 and GSTR-3B returns on a quarterly basis, in place of month-to-month. However, they nevertheless want to pay their tax dues on a monthly basis through a challan. Opting in and opting out. To choose the QRMP scheme, a taxpayer wishes to log into the GST portal and navigate to Services =Returns = opt-in for quarterly return. The option needs to be exercised among the first of the second month of the preceding quarter and the last day of the primary month of the quarter for which the option is being exercised. To opt out of the QRMP scheme, the equal procedure is accompanied. Benefits for small business owners. Reduced compliance burden. The quarterly return filing option reduces the compliance burden on small business, permitting them to allocate sources extra efficiently. Financial planning. The extended filing period facilitates better monetary planning for small organizations. Owners can manipulate their cash flows greater effectively with a clearer understanding in their tax obligations. Time savings. Small commercial enterprise proprietors can save valuable time by focusing on their enterprise operations in preference to dedicating immoderate time and effort to tax compliance activities. Ease of implementation. The simplified documentation and reduced submitting frequency make it easier for small companies to enforce the quarterly return filing alternative without the need for giant monetary expertise. Methods of making payment. The taxpayer has to deposit tax using Form GST PMT 06 by the 25th of the following month, for the first and second months of the quarter. The taxpayers can pay their monthly tax liability either in the fixed sum method, FSM, also known as 35% challan method, or self-assessment method, SAM. Fixed sum method. If your closing GSTR-3B was filed quarterly, you may get a pre-filled challan for an amount equal to 35% of tax quantity paid in cash inside the previous quarter. However, if you are a new taxpayer, have no longer filed your final GSTR-3B or opted out of the composition scheme, you can't get entry to the 35% challan. If your ultimate GSTR-3B turned into filed monthly, you may get a pre-filled challan for an quantity same to the whole tax quantity paid in cash inside the last month of the previous quarter. Self-assessment method. The actual tax due is to be paid through challan in Form GST PMT 06 by considering the tax liability on inward and outward supplies and the input tax credit available for the period as per law. Conclusion. The most important advantage of the QRMP scheme is the option of quarterly filing of GST returns, thereby reducing the value and burden of filing returns. This makes the scheme extremely useful and absolutely appropriate for small organizations. A monthly return filing compels the taxpayer to calculate and draft his returns each month, thereby lowering the probabilities of mistakes in the calculation and documentation of the returns. Therefore, the QRMP scheme is good for groups that have lesser and less difficult transactions and an honest method of calculation of the tax payable. Moreover, it's far higher than the disputes among the supplier and buyer spites collected in 3 months. If the video is beneficial for you, then do like, share and subscribe, and also hit bell icon for GST updates.